Welcome everyone. Today is my review of Evil West, and we will be breaking it down into 3 parts: gameplay, art, and the story. Now, I'm no IGN or gamer spot, but I think you'll enjoy our review from a real person and not a huge company, if that makes sense. With that being said, let's jump right into the review of Evil West by Flying Wild Hog. First up, we have gameplay. This game is truly something special if you like the whole vampire destroying area style bloody madness type of games, which are amazing if you don't mind. Evil West is a linear system of a game where you have 16 missions, and each puts you through certain enemy arenas with different type of enemies you face off and progress through the level and usually end in a boss fight. The maps you enter do allow you to explore a little bit, to collect notes, which is used for the lore of the game, to collect bags of bugs for upgrading your weaponry and abilities, and to find upgrades you can only find in these big massive chests. As far as your character Jesse Renier is concerned, you have a good amount of options when it comes to weaponry and abilities to use within the game to unlock. The combos are very fluid and flow well with the art style and bloodbath the game is and will always be. It's very fluid, the gameplay is, which actually ties into the art in the game is very well crafted with the Old West in mind, with a vampiric takeover. Every level you load into, it brings you into the Evil West world, and it's done in a way where you can look at the scenery and enjoy it for minutes on end. It is a very beautiful game from every level system over to the back scenery. The story is told great through the art as well, by really selling the vampiric setting in the Old West, and the bloodbath adds to the chaos, which is also a nice addition because it really sets in the tone of how much damage you can do with your arsenal of weapons, and Jesse of how angry he is and uses this power in every single enemy he destroys. That being said, we move on to the story. The story of Evil West is probably the most neutral thing in this whole entire game, being more of a band-aid than anything. It's just a son getting revenge for his dad after some things happen, and will destroy anything in his path to make sure he gets this revenge. There are some shining lights during the gameplay, such as James Harrow, the potty mouth who cusses pretty much every time you see him in the story. But it's funny, he is very funny, very vulgar. Virgil O'Neill, the nerdy and nervous engineer who has a pretty interesting backstory, but the missions you play with Virgil and Jesse in the same ones are pretty funny. It adds a nice little relief and adds kind of a character that you can play alongside of, and you actually feel something for the character, which is good. That's always good to have in this story. It's very simple and linear, but isn't too bad with the amazing voice actors that they have playing in the game. That's probably the one downfall of the game, is its story and just how linear it is. It's just your basic here to here to here to here, then ending. The levels themselves are good though. Like I said, there are some shining lights in the story, but overall the story could be better, but it's still a very good game in the sense of, you know, the story is linear, but it still gives you enough to like actually want to play the story more and more and see what happens. This is a bonus section to the Evil West review that we have. So we're going to be going over my favorite parts and my not so favorite parts. One of my favorite parts of the game is the bloody combat and the combos. There's no lack of boring attacks. You have so many different combos you can use, and the blood is insane. There's like finishers at the end. It's just a bloodbath. I mean, it's vampires and you're cowboys, so of course there's gonna be blood, but oh my god, it was just a bloody massacre, and it was actually really fun to play. There's no lack of weaponry. You have, I believe, 6 weapons to your disposal, which is crazy. I mean, like, you could just use them for every situation, all on a cooldown, which means once one's done, it has to go through its cooldown cycle, and you can just use 3 or 4 other guns, you know? Like, the lack of weaponry is insane, and it's really fun. Enemy design, okay? There are a good amount of enemies. They all pretty much do the same thing, like the basic enemies, but there are different kinds of them, which is awesome. And then when you progress through the story, they unlock, there's just more and more enemies and these kind of like mini bosses, and it's actually insane how many enemies are in the game and their design of them. Like, there is quote unquote like 2 different types of werewolves. One's kind of like a brand new werewolf turning into one, and then there's like the spider wolf, and then there's the original werewolf. There's so many just different kind of designs, and they all do different things. I always felt it was refreshing to have those types of enemies in the game, because you weren't just facing the same ones in this level that you'd be facing in one the next level, and so on and so forth. The overall visuals were amazing, and it actually, like, I feel like I was actually in the Evil West world. I can't talk about the art enough of this game. It was really well done. Everything flew well. It was really fun to play. There's different environments. You weren't in the same environment one map to the other, and it was just really nice overall. Now we're gonna go over my not so favorites. The story was probably my biggest not so favorite of this game. It was just extremely bland and linear, to a point where like you could tell who was gonna be a bad guy, who was this guy, who was this guy. Just like there wasn't a twist, there wasn't anything that made you actually feel for the characters. besides the 2 I named in the actual review. I wish they did a little bit more with the story, kind of gave you kind of like a kind of choices, like, oh, save this person, do this, do that, you know, something like that. Just add a little bit more to the story and give a little bit more behind it. You're attacking multiple enemies in the game, like there's like 3 or 4 and they're all attacking you. There's the indicator. This indicator is extremely small and it's either to the right or left of your character Jesse, and it did not work most of the time. It would say, it would go from yellow to like red being they're doing their attack. I would have so many times it would blink yellow first and I would already be hit by like 2 or 3 attacks from that enemy. It would turn red and I would try and dodge that enemy and would still be hit by them because there was another one behind them hitting me. It just was, that was a very clunky system to like kind of, your camera can't pan everywhere instantly. So you had to kind of like hear for sounds, and it was just kind of a weird. And then last but not least, the repetitiveness of some of the missions. And when I say that, it's you go into a mission, it's a new area, it looks nice, but every area is pretty much the same. You go into a little arena type style and then enemies pour in and you destroy the enemies, and then sometimes there's a mini boss, and then you just progress through that mission and you get finally to the end of the mission. There's usually like final boss, and every mission was set up like that. There wasn't like a little side mission or anything like that. So that was, it just kind of get repetitive. There's 16 missions in the game. It just kind of sucked going through each mission, and that was the same type of style. It just get repetitive, and pretty much one of the only like other downfalls of the game. So thank you guys for the bonuses, and hope you guys enjoyed the rest of this review. With that being said, the team over at Flying Wild Hog, I think, has something special in this game. Eva West was a very fun game to play overall. Like I said, my only gripe with it would be its story and how linear it is, but the gameplay, the blood, the lore, everything about this game, the bosses, really flows well. And this is a game I think you should pick up for the holiday season. It reminds me of a God of War inspired game. It's very fluid. I think you guys should give this a chance. And my final rating on the game would be an 8 out of 10. And I hope you guys enjoy this review. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys all have an amazing day. And please hit that subscribe button and help us hit 1,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much. Peace.